Hello y'all, welcome to my channel. This is the Wendy and Neverland channel for mostly cross stitch. I do throw in a few other little things there that have been happening. So this is my second take for this part of the video. I did two small short little videos, and then I've got some other things as well that I did other days. And for whatever reason, this first part will not get to the point on my computer where I can download it and put it into the video. And I filmed this, the first one yesterday, and I keep checking and checking. And the second part of the video that I had made yesterday, it's fine. It's already downloaded. It's great. But for whatever reason, this one just will not do it. And I keep going back and checking, and it's still not. So I am just going to refilm this. So this part of the video may look slightly different, just a little, than the second half of the video because it's a different day. Even though it's kind of sunny outside and it looks very similar, it still will be different. Okay, so let's get into some things that we were going to talk about. On Thursday, the 6th of February, was the first Thursday of February, and so that meant it was our first Thursday meetup for the Pacific Northwest Stitchers. And so we go to Acorns and Threads, in case you don't know that, and that's in Portland. They are very good about getting everything set up for us. They know that we're coming, and they know that it's going to be a big group. And in the past, it's been a really big groups. I mean, so much that you're kind of just squished together around this big table set up. We've had upwards of like the upper 20s fitting into her little store. So there's a lot of people usually there. Yes, on Thursday, there wasn't as many. There was a good number of people. I didn't count. It was probably closer to the upper teens for numbers this time, so it wasn't as many as we normally get. And of course, we missed the people who didn't come, but it was still a little bit more roomy than it has been in the past few months. It was kind of nice. I do have a little video to show you of, I just took a video of the table, showing all around the table.
Kind of like to stitch with me on double time.
Yes.
Cell phone
And
and
it's fun when I
yeah, I
sit
love
down
it.
because I feel like my friends in the room.
So we should try
The problem is I don't
quadruple time on
Well, I was
so that she can have it.
I want to see that I can find.
No, I learned.
It's still downloading. I only have about
Michelle Bendy. She was able to come. She used to come all the time, but she's got a lot going on in her life, so it's kind of prevented her from getting up there. She brought her mom with her, and she's in the video as well, sitting next to her, so that was kind of a nice treat. And as I went around the table just filming, and I didn't tell everybody I was filming, I wanted it to be more, just authentic look of what people were doing and talking to each other and stuff. And so the person that was sitting right next to me on this side was Lori. And I kind of got the side profile of her, but I didn't get a front on view because you kind of would have had to take the video and just kind of shove it right in her face. And I was like, I don't want to do that. That's just awkward. So she was there. And in case you didn't see any, I don't know if she put the post up already or if she's going to, but you might have heard that she's going to retire. Well, she did retire. So now she's a free woman and she can go ahead and concentrate on what she's going to do for retirement. So that was fun having her there. The other things that have been going on. So I thought it would be fun because we have a lot of people who will go to estate sales or thrift stores or, just other places like that to find great deals and see what kind of things they can find. So I did do a little video of going to a store. I did not do it where you're filming from the minute you walk in and all around the store, because for one thing, I didn't know who was going to be in the store or how crowded it was going to be. I thought it would be better as I came across areas that were a little bit better to film, I would do it that way. So I have that for you. Actually, I went to 2 places, but one didn't really have anything that I wanted. So I'm only going to show you one. And then kind of there's a little wrap up part of the video because there's a couple of different clips and there's a little wrap up of kind of what I thought about this particular trip. Hello there. We're going to go into St. Vincent de Paul. There it is. Let's see if we can find any goodies. It's not quite as nice of a store as Goodwill. It's a little dingier and whatnot, but I find great deals in here. The prices are much better, and a lot of times I find more things that I want than I do at Goodwill. So we're going to go in there and see what we can find. See you in a little bit. Sorry about the music, but as you can see, this is what I'm talking about. This is like the craft area. You just have to dig and dig and dig. And that drawer system, you actually need to open all those and go through it and see if there's things you can find. They also have, let's see if we can find it here, a whole bunch of these drawer systems. And that's where they store their craft stuff. This is one of my favorite corners of the whole store. So, I had found in this little tub, let's see if I can get a hold of it for you. And I know it's nothing fantastic, super fantastic, but it's $1.50. So I'll take it. If I don't use it, somebody else might want it. So that's coming home with me. We'll see what's in the other bins. Okay, so I opened one of the drawers. Well, I opened all of them, but it's a whole bunch of Valentine's stuff, which is cute. But then they had that really cute gingham ribbon, and it's wired too. It's only 75 cents. It's probably a good 2 or 3 yards. Really good deal. So you just never know unless you look. Okay, y'all. So I found a few things, not as many. You never know. It's always a crapshoot, basically. But the things that I found, this was one of them. If you notice, it has a little red stripe at the top. And the fabric, the cross-stitch fabric, also had a little red stripe at the top. I did not realize this, but apparently those were 50% off. So I got an even better deal than I thought, which is great. There were several things that I found that I was kind of interested in, and I might have actually got, but I thought they were kind of priced high for this store. So that was a little disappointing. I was hoping that, you get the normal prices you normally see, but they have different people price things, and so you never know who's the one who's looking at stuff and pricing it and what they're going to price it as. I've gone in and I found it was like a plate with high lip on it around the edge, so it was probably about inch and a half high, and it had a rose pattern on the front, which I was going to cover, so it didn't matter, and it was ceramic. I found 3 identical ones. One or two of them were in a box still that they had come in, and all 3 of them were priced differently. They were all in the same condition. There was nothing wrong with any of them. But it just goes to show you never know who's pricing it and what they're going to feel like they need to price it at. So for an example, I found a kind of one of those bags you would get you would put your vegetables in the store, a plastic one. I found one that was probably about a half full of DMC floss. And I mean, it wasn't jam-packed, but it was pretty full. And they wanted $20 for it. I thought that was pretty high for this store, for any thrift store really, because I know that if you buy it at the store, at Joann's or whatever, that you're probably going to be paying maybe around that much. On sale, maybe not. But for a thrift store, not knowing what you're getting and how much of that floss is in there. I mean, a lot of them look like they were full skeins, but you just don't know. And so to pay $20 seemed kind of ridiculous to me. So it was things like that you just, you gotta find those hidden gems in there. So anyway, until next time. And then the other thing that I've been doing. So if you've watched me, you've followed me along through the months and whatnot, you know that I really enjoy getting outside when the weather's nice and working in my yard, especially since I have pretty much in the last few years destroyed, especially the backyard, a little bit of the front yard, but mostly the backyard, and I'm starting to put it back together. So I'm constantly working on it and getting it back to the proper shape it should be, because it was a pretty big disaster when we moved here. So I like doing that, but during the winter you can't really do that because it's too cold to be outside, or it's rains, which has been doing a lot lately. So in the winter I like to do more inside stuff. And so I have, as usual, overextended myself, or my thoughts of everything I want to get done. And, you know, the little hamsters just are running like crazy in there and trying to figure out what I want to do, and trying to keep it to a reasonable amount of stuff. A little bit hard for me. So, I knew I wanted to work on our bathroom upstairs because there's a few things that needed attention, and so I just thought I need to remodel the whole thing, just because I'm going to have to tear some things apart anyway. I might as well just do it all. Well, first of all, to kind of back up a little bit, my mother is the one who sold us this house. So she had bought it 13 years ago, because we've lived here 3 and she had it for 10. So she got it 13 years ago, and when she bought it, it was a disaster. I mean, it was falling apart. A lot of people in the city, and we live in a very small town. A lot of people in this town wanted the house torn down, but because it's a historic house, the city kind of fought that for a long time. And then my mother came along, bought it, and she tore it down to the studs and revamped everything. So when she did that, she obviously she's starting with a blank canvas, and who doesn't love a blank canvas? But you also have a lot of fires in the irons in the fire, and a lot of things you're trying to do, so you take shortcuts sometimes. And so one of the things she did is, when she put the sheetrock on the walls, she did not prime them or paint them unless she was going to leave them that color. So if she was going to put any kind of treatment on the wall like wallpaper, she did not do that. That's a big no-no. So in the bathroom, she put wallpaper on the walls. And if you have a shower, especially in the bathroom, this is not a good idea. So anybody who actually puts wallpaper in a bathroom with a shower should be shocked, because it's going to peel. You're going to get moisture, and it's going to start peeling eventually. And that's what was happening in that bathroom. The wallpaper around the top especially was starting to peel, and anywhere there was not anywhere, but on a lot of seams, it was starting to peel as well. There's some other areas that have problems. One of them is, we think that there's a leak either from the bathtub or the toilet. Most likely the bathtub, we're thinking, but we're just not sure. Water is one of those banes of existence when it comes to figuring out where the problem is, because it can travel distances. So it may drip slowly on something, inside walls or whatever, roofs, and it will travel and then drip out somewhere else. And really, that's not where the leak is coming from. So the reason I think it's the bathtub, is because that's right above, in the master bedroom downstairs, where I can see it on the ceiling by the wall, and right above that is the bathroom, and I think it's the bathtub. So needed to check on that, try to figure out where that's coming from, and fix it. But went ahead and started doing the walls, and I'm getting it off, and it's not, I mean, it's not too bad, but there is the chance of, because it wasn't the walls, the sheetrock was not primed or painted beforehand, that as you're taking it off, there's a chance of the backing on the sheetrock so not the wallpaper itself, but the backing on the sheetrock, could get torn off with wallpaper because there's nothing protecting it. So like I said, it's not really happening in the bathroom, but in my son's room, she did a technique in there, and I remember watching some of the DIY shows and seeing people doing it there, is you would take a paper bag, like a grocery bag, and you would cut the handles off, cut the seams off, cut the bottom off, and you would crumple it up into a ball, and then you would flatten it out, and it would have wrinkles, and that's what you wanted. You wanted the wrinkle look. And then what you did is you wallpapered it to the wall. Then after that, you would put like a stain wash or something over that. So it gave this unique look to it. Can compare it to like a leather look or something. So she did that to his room about halfway up the wall, and she did it all around the room, all 4 walls. And now I'm trying to take this off because I don't really want it there either. It's an old technique. I just don't want it anymore. It's much more difficult than regular wallpaper. So what you have is a couple of things. So she rented the house also for part of the time that she owned it, and one of the renters painted over that on a couple of the walls, just right over that technique and everything. So we've got some walls that don't have paint on that part, some walls that do. And so what you have to do with this stuff is you're getting it wet, putting the adhesive remover, whatever, on there. And you get a piece of it and you're pulling it off. And usually what that will do is take the top layer of the grocery bag, because the grocery bags are much thicker and made differently than wallpaper is. So it would pull that top layer off. Now you still have some residue, some parts of the bag still on the wall. And at that point is when you have to start the scraping. And that is usually when you end up, because of this technique and the paper bag material and everything else, is you end up taking part of the paper coating for the sheetrock. Now, it's not like huge, giant sections. It may be a section that's this big or just a little teeny tiny one or whatever, but there's quite a bit of it all over the place. And I don't want to replace all the sheetrock. For one, it would be a lot of work and a lot of money to replace that. So we're trying to minimize as much as we can. And like I said, it doesn't matter how careful you are, it's going to happen anyway. So we're taking all this off, which takes a lot of time. And then I come back with filler, and I just, fill in those holes and make it smooth. So that way when I paint, it's going to be a pretty smooth wall. The other thing that I'm trying to do is that we have what's considered a Cape Cod style home, I guess. I mean, that's how it was listed, so I'm guessing that's what it is. And it's got a pretty steep roof line. So the upstairs in the bedrooms, what you have is the wall goes up about 5 feet, and then it's got a steep angled roof line to the ceiling, and then the flat part for the ceiling. So you're not going to bump your head usually, because it's not that much area that's the angled part of the ceiling. But between the wall that's up the 5-foot area, the flat part of the wall, and the roof line is attic crawl space, so you can store things in there and whatnot. And she put plywood on the floor, so you can walk in there really easily and store stuff. But she didn't really create good doors, so she just cut the sheetrock out between studs, and so you have to kind of keep moving it if you want to get in there. So I am going to create doors, and that's another thing I'm going to have to work on. So I've been very busy, and I'm trying to get it all done, but we'll see. All right, let's get on with some stitchy stuff now. I know that was a long bit of stuff, so hopefully that you either fast forwarded through all that or you hung out with me and listened to it all. So in January, as I showed you last time, I did 31 days of new starts. I finished that up, and now I can show you the rest of them. There aren't as many as last time, obviously, because that was the biggest section. So I have about a week's worth of new starts to show you. Again, I'm not going to show you them in the order that I did them because that doesn't really matter. I'm also not going to, there may be some patterns that are still in their bags. I'm not going to take them all out. It's just too many things to be taking in and out all the time. So with that, there's a lot of bright colored ones this time too. I got this bag. I actually got a yellow one, but it does come with all three of these patterns. So you can kind of see what they are. And I really liked the Flamingo. And I know I don't have the green bag, but it'll still work on the yellow one. It's still fun. And you can do them on any, you can pick whatever pattern you wanted to and stitch it. Didn't necessarily have to go with the bag that they pictured. So I am working on the Flamingo one, and this is how far I've gotten. So part of the Flamingo body down by his wing. So it's getting there. I think I might have talked about this last time. I have no idea exactly how I'm going to pick what I work on next. I mean, I had a specific way that I picked what I started working on in February, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, I don't know when I will work on different projects. The next one is the blue flower, and it's the Life with Cats. So there was 3 different patterns. And I had mentioned that I'm going to take all these and put them kind of in a door pull fashion. So they'll be vertically on the same fabric. Because they all go together. They're all about cats. This is the one I started on because I want that one to be the middle one. So we've got that going on, and it is here. Unfortunately, my gray cat, because he doesn't have his ears and some of the other details of him, looks like a little alien. But it's a good start. It's a good start because it's a pretty small count. I know one of these I started was a 40 count, and that's the first time I think that I've done a 40 count. I've done 36 before, but I haven't done 40 count. None of them, for the majority of the projects, was over 1. It was usually over 2 threads. So yeah, we're getting there with this one. Next, 12 Days of Christmas, Sosua Street. I did go ahead and start with number 1. So we have this one here. Obviously, we know it's Partridge and Pear Tree. I was just pointing out which design it was. And I am going to do these all individually. So they will be cut out separately. It's not that they're going to be on one big mat like the picture shows. And, you know, they show you different options. There's that. So very nice. Sosua Street tends to be very colorful. And I like that every once in a while. It's like I like both the subtle colors, but I really like the very bright ones as well. So kind of mixes things up a little bit. The next one, and I'm not even trying to pronounce this. We've got this. That is what it is. Set de Brodat? I don't know. Said I wasn't going to try and pronounce it. I just call it stacked teacups. So that's the one I'm working on. And it was a kit. It's their address is in Moldova. It's the Luca S brand designer. It came as a kit, so it came with all the threads and the fabric. The fabric's Ada. It was a 16 count Ada. It's a pretty blue, kind of a grayish blue kind of color, kind of tell. But I wanted it more on a linen, so I went and got some that was comparable to the color. And this is what I've done so far. Sorry, my fan is kind of blowing things around a little bit. So I got a good amount of that done. it is this teacup. Usually I'm a middle starter, so that's why I got the one that, you know, not terribly exciting to look at yet, but yeah. So pretty. I am a teapot collector. I have quite a few. I think you've saw some of those in a video. It was kind of behind me at one point. All right, the next one, plum pudding, French gervais, and that is, and I still have some threads attached to it, so I'm sorry that if it gets in the way, it blows around. That's what I did so far. So when I started in the middle, of course, and that was this brown line here. Then I went ahead and jumped over to this mouse, and I was going to continue working on this mouse because you can kind of see her apron there. And I was going to continue on hers, but I had to jump over here and start on the other mouse because that mouse right there called for tomato, Gentle Arts tomato. And if y'all have been trying to find Gentle Arts tomato, you know how difficult it's been. I heard from a store that there was a problem with Gentle Arts getting it. It wasn't that the stores weren't ordering it, it's just that they weren't getting supply. So I had to stop working on that mouse and jump over to the green one. Such is life, you know, everything doesn't just run to our timetables. All right, and the next one that I did was the Selfmedicated cross stitch. I did change the fabric because I wanted it to be more like this fabric. So I dyed my own fabric. I think it's like a Monaco 28. I mean, it's just something I had in my stash that I could play around with, and I like the effect, so I kept it. Let me see. I think it's starting to hide some of it, and this is as far as I got. This thread that is for the letters is the called for. It is a green, and I really like it with this fabric. It turned out very nicely. I will be changing a lot of this pattern though. Changing the colors in the houses and maybe some other stuff. I kind of wanted to do changes as I went when I got to those parts. Because I kind of have an idea of which ones I would want to change. So we'll see how that works out. I don't know. We have another Sosua Street nest egg. Just happened to be that a lot of the Sosua Streets in the bright colors got pulled for this week. Alrighty, let me see here how it sits. Oh, we're going to need something behind this. Let me see here if this is going to work. So that's what I did. That is kind of the shoulder of the goose. The back and shoulder. And I'll show you that. So it's this part right here. This is the called for fabric. So this is what it looks like. So that's going to be fun. That's going to be a fun one. And second to last one. I've had this one for a while, and I just decided I wanted to put it in with the grouping and do it. Little House Needleworks, Warm Winter Woolens. The sheep. You just can't hardly stand the sheep. Yes. Oh, I don't think I unfolded this. Okay. Play some lovely waiting music here. And that's how much I did. So that's the front part of the sheep, with kind of the star flower look in it. Actually, you know what? I've got it upside down. I'm like, what is wrong with this? Doesn't seem right. Because the dark stuff is its head. So, but that is still the front of the sheep where the white part is. So it'll be cute. cute little ones. Like I mentioned before, I like having the various sizes, the various color combinations, so the brights, the more muteds, the whatever. So that was good. My last one, and when I decided to do this one for February, start in February with something, just kind of go back to repeating different ones. I didn't realize it was going to be in this grouping. I didn't remember when I had stitched it. So what you're going to see is far more than what I did in January. I worked on this thing for probably a good week since I last stitched on it in January. So it's got a lot done on it. So what I have, it's a Stony Creek, came out of this. So you had 4 different ones. I'm doing this one. I really like how it's turning out. It's beautiful. If you watched the pictures that I do on Instagram, really the only thing you would have seen was this flower. That's about all I did in January. And that was a good amount. I got quite a bit done. But I have a whole lot more done now. Let me get this behind it. There we go. So I have a little bit more of like the morning glories down here. I believe these are more like a foxglove. I've got the hummingbird, and I've got a good section of this birch. So this is how wide the birch is, and I think this is about halfway up. So maybe just past the Q-snap is about the height of this. So it's getting there. It's getting there. I'll show you the picture again, so you can see I've made it up to around here somewhere. I think I'm getting to this branch here. So it's about halfway, and that's what it looks like so far. So, cool beans, gotten a lot done on that. The reason I went to that is I had put in the last post on Instagram that this is the last one. I can't believe I made it through all of them. I loved it. I love doing it. I know some people get part of the way through or at the end and like, man, I can't believe I did that. That was just stupid, or I am so glad it's done. And, you know, I'm glad it's done because I get to go back and work on them, but I enjoyed it. I liked it. A lot of fun. So after I had put that on there, I also said, did anybody have any favorites? Did you like anything once? Think that, you know, and have an opinion on which ones I should start working on in February. And I had one person comment and say, oh, I really like this one or this one. They had 2 that they really liked and would love to see stitched more on. So I picked one of those 2 since they were kind enough to comment on it, and I went ahead and picked it, and it was the Birches, the birds and the Birches. So that is why I ended up picking that one. Now on to I believe I've got just a couple of haul items that I'm going to show you, and then that might be it. We'll see. So when we were at Acorns yesterday, I went ahead and got a couple of things. I think they're fairly new. They might have been from this fall and winter, but nothing that's like new, like gonna be just got into the store. And it was this one. Love me some llamas. Very cute. And the other one I got was this one, the iced winter tree. So I love this spool or whatever idea of putting it on, and just the idea of having something that is a little accent. I mean, it's probably a big accent piece to some degree. I'm not sure how tall. Let's see. It is, if I did it on 28 count, it would be about 10 inches high, just the stitched part. So total, you're talking at least a foot high. But it's a nice accent to add to other decorations and stuff. It's not necessarily a picture word, you know, with pictures and words on it. if you don't see the whole thing, it's not that big of a deal. You know, if you kind of got other things sitting in front of it and covering it up partially, it's not that big of a deal. It will go nicely with other decorations, and that's what I liked. It doesn't call for this, but I am going to use a nice white so it calls for 2 strands of thread. So I use 1 strand of a nice white silk and then another strand of some petite treasure braid that's got a little more glittery sparkle to it, because that just screams sparkle. So we'll see how it goes. I probably will do it on the call for fabric or something as close to it as possible because I want it to be green. So there we go. I think that is about it. As I mentioned, it is warming up a little bit more here. My daffodils have sprouted through and look like they're just ready to bloom any day now. And I know I've seen a picture of somebody from Oregon who had posted daffodils that were already bloomed, which I think February is a little early to see them. March would be great. Mine may wait because they're not on the sunny side of the house. They're next to the house and they're on the north side, so they don't see as much sun. So I think that's going to delay their blooms a little bit. But I'm itching to get outside just because I see all the weeds and it's driving me crazy. I can't stand to see all the weeds because I know they're just going to get bigger and bigger if I don't get out there and take care of them. But it's also been raining a lot. And I mean a lot. The rivers are pretty high. They're not flooding past their banks yet, but they're pretty high. And so you just can't really get out there you don't really want to get out when it's raining. And if it happens to be a little chilly, that just compounds it, makes it even worse. So, yeah, I mentioned to do that. Plus, I know my yard needs to be mowed. And I know everybody who lives where it's cold and potentially covered in snow, they're like, you're mowing in winter? Yes, in Oregon, you have to mow in winter time. You pick the days when it's hopefully been dry enough, not freezing cold, but you're going to have to mow. Otherwise, the grass is going to be 5 to 6 inches tall in the spring, which it might already be there. I don't know. The biggest part is the new grass I put in the backyard. It's growing like crazy. So I really need to get that mowed because I don't want it to be, when you do mow it, it's going to look really bad if I don't get out there. So I know there's a lot of non-stitchy things we talked about, but there's quite a few stitchy things. So hopefully you enjoyed it and you had a good time with me. I always enjoy everybody who comes to watch and see all the likes as well as the views and seeing new subscribers come. So yeah, it's always fun. Kind of as a reminder, if you are looking for project bags, or I am now doing kind of like a tote bag, because they're not too bad to make. Plus, now that Oregon goes no plastic grocery bags, I thought, well, maybe this would be an option for somebody that could use it for either or. And then also some cute little triangle type little bags that you can stuff whatever in. It can be an Ort container. It can be your little accessory container. So check that out. That's over on an Instagram page at bags_by_Wendy. And Wendy is Wendi, a little different. I try to put that in the comments on each of the videos so that you would know where to find me for that. And kind of a side note, if you need a bag made, whether it's a tote bag like that or a project bag, and you have fabric you want to use for that, just contact me. I can customize the bags to the fabric that you have. So just let me know. Just, like send a message, whether it's DM or I'll try and remember to put my email address in there, and then you would be able to contact me that way if you wanted to as well. But anyway, hopefully you're having a great day and it's not too nasty where you're at and having lots of stitchy fun. Until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.